Everybody, welcome back. Doing another Marvel Future Revolution video. This time we're going to take a dive into the Scarlet Witch. Wanda just came to the game. We're going to look at the skills in this one. It's really early. We've got some recommendations that were on the live stream that we'll talk about a little bit and look at the skills in general. But I'd say anybody who's jumping to conclusions on this is the best for sure is doing that outside of developers. But I still want to say, no offense developers, but typically the player base ends up finding the best metas for things. So we'll look at it, give our initial impressions. We'll talk about what they have and see if we kind of line up a little bit. If you're new to the channel, check out the Discord link in the description below. We've got a membership thing that YouTube's got now. If you want to help support the channel, always appreciate that. Let's get to it.
Bring me WolverThor!
Okay, so actually we're going to stay in training grounds and let's look at these skills. So first off, we're going to talk about from the devs. They said it sounds like chaos magic is allegedly PvP and that PvE is allegedly Hex Energy. So having said that, actually, and before that, because one of the things that people are going to talk about is costumes a little bit, and I do want to throw that in here, just because people are like, what should I do? What should I do? And I want to have something like that out originally in case you really just want to sort of lean in a little bit. So Hex Energy, that's why they talked about Xanderth. Hex Energy class skill +6. Okay, so that's what Xanderth does. New Stark City, it's ultimate. There might be a play for that as well at some point, just for the record. Again, still very early. Witchcraft, per some people that I've seen talking a little bit, and they're doing super early theory crafting, is allegedly a little bit of both. So maybe that might be okay if somebody doesn't want to build multiple sets. And then they talked about chaos magic being PvP, which is why they recommend Sakaar. So when you look at the rest of those, there's specific Hydra. That's again another Hex, and it has actually defense pierce, which, you know, that's not so bad. You know, Xanderth, what was that? Crit damage. Both pretty good, honestly. Dark Domain, I think if I remember right, Witchcraft and Defense Pierce. And then let's look, Savage Shadowlands is probably the normal, Supervillain damage and Witchcraft. So Witchcraft, again, is allegedly the in-between. Specials, they said Steampunk was going to be PvE, which, again, we got Hex. So that makes sense. Rise of the East, they said nothing for, which is Witchcraft, which, again, is allegedly the middle of the road. So we'll see if that's the case. And then Eye of Osiris is Chaos, which again is allegedly PvP, and that's what they mentioned. So we'll keep an eye out for all those sort of skills. Just remember those sort of sets when you're looking into it. I am fully of the belief now. Don't 6-star any of your other regular sets. At some point you will get enough of regionals to make those. So I would just stick to that. All right, so let's first focus on, because a lot of people are going to be doing PvE content. So look for Hex Energy type stuff. So this first one here, Hex Projection, Hex Lightning. So this, and it is weird, it kind of does a little flash. So Hex Projection, we got Hex Lightning and then Hex Bolt. The one on the left, Hex Lightning, has a longer cooldown and stamina by far, but is much higher damage. So I would prefer the one on the left. Hex Bolt is a quicker one, doesn't really do much for me there, but if you want something quick, fine. All right, so now Hex Wave compared to the one on the left, way longer. Nah, don't do this. I get that it creates a barrier, but it's only 30% of your max HP. I mean, I don't know. Well, if she's got some sort of like, I could see a mode where she might make a bunch of, you know, just plays to get to her ultimate, and maybe this is one of the things she's got in her kit. If you can bring the cooldowns a bunch down, and with some stam recovery, I mean the stam's about the same, but it's just a much longer cooldown. So if she can last a little bit longer, maybe that comes into play. And then Hex Force Field, this one gathers the Hex Energy, create a barrier, pulls in enemies, and detonates. So I'd be curious. This one is interesting. I might like this one a little better. It's a little bit shorter cooldown, and the stamina is actually less, so I might like this one better. Granted, the damage is less, but if it depends how much they actually pulls them in. And again, what's the delay on this? On the animation on the right, looks like it takes a hot second for it to happen. So We'll see. All right, Chaos Magic, Chaos Judgment. These are all, these should all be Chaos skills. I'm not expecting, so we can come back to these later, and it looks like they all are Chaos class. Sometimes they got them intermixed in there, but I just wanted to make sure. Psychokinesis, so Hex Smash. So I'm expecting these to be Hex type. So the first two here, we got both of them Hex Energy. The one on the left is a shorter cooldown and less stamina, the Hex Smash. Focus Energy just does a big damage or decent damage for 448, a high guard break. But the one on the right, just a little bit longer cooldown, 6 seconds, which in this game is a lot, and a little bit harder, more stamina, but it's got really high guard break, Hex Energy object, and a much more damage. So it's throwing the cars. It depends. For me, this one depends on the one on the right, the Hex Illusion. If I ever consider using that, it depends. If a target moves, does it track or not? That's something that I always think about. But it does push the enemy, so that could be something you push people off. Granted, that's not going to work for a boss, so we'll see. Like, maybe it's a PvP thing, but we're going against that for now. So Hex Strike, that compared to the Hex Smash is longer cooldown again, a little more stam. It knocks down, it's a little bit more, but they got back up again. And it's a little bit more damage than the one on the left for 5 seconds and 8 more stam. It's lower guard break. And just looking at the animations, I mean, I wish they would start at the same time. It's tough to say. I think those are both decent. I think it depends on, you know, I tend to like the shorter cooldown stuff. We'll see how that works. And then this one here is Hex Meteor. Cooldown 13 seconds, stam 24, highest guard break, about the same amount of damage. So, I mean, if you're looking for more guard break, you take the one on the right. I'd only equip that in fights like Magneto or something because it's a little bit higher guard break. Besides that, I think, you know what, honestly, excuse me. It just depends if you want a little bit more damage or a little bit more guard break. That's it. That's what you're going to decide there. All right. So we've got the Language of Demise. This is Chaos class. It looks like, so Chaos. We'll come back to all the Chaos stuff. Just want to make sure that there's no Hex hiding in any of these. All right. So then Witch's Darkness. These are sure Witchcraft. I'm going to go ahead and cover these in here now just because I don't know where these might land, and we'll focus PvP just for PvP. So right now we've got Witch's Spear on the left, which is it's pretty short cooldown and low stam, real low guard break, just does some damage. The one on the right, max double guard. I mean, I guess if you want to do a bunch of guard damage, again, something for Magneto maybe. And we do need more builds, I guess, for anything that you need guard break on. Maybe I'd take the one on the right for that, Witch's Pursuit. Something to consider. Let's see what we got here. Witch's Force Field. This one, it's the one on the right, decreases melee damage by 15% for 10 seconds, which is nice, and does some damage. I'm a little bit torn on this one at the moment, because it really, you gotta have people around you to do the damage. And as a ranged character, I don't know how often you're gonna wanna do that. You're fighting people who are up next to you a lot, which isn't a lot of characters. Really, it's, I mean, what, Captain America, maybe a little bit of magic, but she's still semi-range. Widow is still a little range. So I don't know how much I love this one. We'll see. It does do good damage though, but the cooldown is insane long. So Witch's Force Field, I have a feeling, is not going to get a lot of use, but it's an interesting concept. Witch's Descent. So it decreases defense by 25% for 4.5 seconds when it lands. I like that. Quickly move forward to fire 200 or multiple energy orbs. The amount of damage is not high. I don't know if that's overall or per orb. If it's per orb, it's great. Decreases defense. We already talked about that. Deals more damage and max double guard damage if energy hits the same target. Again, if you're looking for some, Magneto type stuff, then fine. All right. So another Hex ability here. We got Hex Release, Hex Energy. Both Hex Energy. Ooh, the one on the right is almost double the cooldown, just a little bit more stamina, and just for a little bit more guard break. Subdue target with guard. Oh, but okay. So you can subdue somebody whose guard gauge is below 50% for 1 second. This is actually, while I know they said Hex is a PvE and not necessarily PvP, This might be something to consider on the right, where if you properly use this, it's not just a spam ability, but if you place that when somebody's guard gets below 50% and you subdue them and then maybe do something else, I could see this sort of helping control a battle. So it might be something to consider in PvP later. I wouldn't necessarily use it in PvE, but PvP, I do sort of like that. Hex Pinpoint, the cooldown's a little bit longer, stam's quite a bit more, knocks down this when the skill lands, drags when the skill lands. I'm not sure what that means. And it's a 503% damage, and then pull them in. I don't see it happening there. It's a medium guard break. I mean, maybe if there were other people around them, it pulled them in, so it pulls them in, then it breaks it from there. It's a long animation, so I'm not super. That might be okay for a Mega War type thing to control a little bit. Again, it's Hex and it's not technically supposed to be PvP, but it's something to consider for PvP if you need something from this tree and you can't get enough chaos. That one's pretty solid. And then here's some more witches stuff. We'll start with the one on the left, Reality Warp. So this redo or build up the ultimate gauge. I know this is witchcraft, but I would heavily consider using this potentially for everything. Her ult is pretty cool. It seems to hit pretty decently. We'll look at that in a second. But I really like this ability. She's invincible. You can combine it pretty well. I like it. Now, the one on the right, Reality Fold, much shorter cooldown, obviously, and much less stam. Decreases damage received, so that's okay. But it creates a force field, so basically it absorbs some energy. I mean, again, depends what you're trying to do there as far as buffs and for your alliance mates, etc. Next one, we got Teleportation Wave, another witchcraft item. The cooldown is it's pretty reasonable here at 10 seconds. Low guard break though. Teleports the enemy, 459% damage. Okay, it doesn't do much for me, honestly. It's, you know, if you get the cooldown pretty low, then maybe that is just one of those things similar to exploit weakness with Widow. But outside of that, I don't know. Death Chain. Now this one's interesting. So it's a decent cooldown, really low stam though, but it confuses people for 3 seconds when it lands. And you teleport behind the enemy, release energy. It's not a lot of damage, but you cause confusion. The energy release transfers successfully to spread damage to nearby enemies. It depends if you want to do the confusion or not. I think this combined with some of the specialization stuff, which we'll cover in another one, could be interesting. And yeah, that was that one. So I still like Reality Warp the best out of that chain here. Terror Incarnate, this is more witchcraft. Again, this is sort of allegedly the in-between stuff. So the one on the left creates an illusion of herself and attacks enemies. It's 21 basically % of Scarlet Witch's attack. These aren't all fully maxed yet, but they're pretty darn close. And the one on the right, the Terror Assault, and the one on the left, Terror Incarnate, holy cow, 36 seconds. So what creates an illusion of herself and attacks enemies. I mean, it's for 10 seconds. So now if that illusion is able to be targeted as well, I don't think it's gonna be, but if it was, that ability on the left would be a little bit better. The one on the right, Terror Assault, again, another witchcraft, 15 seconds for cooldown, 19 stam, decreases movement speed for 40% for 5 seconds when it lands. That's pretty, and that's just a boom, you're slowed, so that's pretty good. And it's 389% damage. That's pretty solid. All right, the one on the right, Shadowy Terror, 26 seconds, cooldown, 23 stam. This is the Vanish one. Release Shockwave, 290%, and disappears into the shadows. You become invincible for 1 second and vanish for 3. This is like Widow's ultimate that does some damage. So it's very interesting. The guard break is low. The cooldown's 26 seconds. This could be a PvP skill, even though it's in witchcraft. I'd consider this. Just again, if you're looking for some sort of survivability between this and the barrier, some confusion and an ability that maybe can stun somebody and then you get to your Darkhold and nuke them, that could be pretty solid there if you're playing that right. And then Terror Consumption. So 25-second cooldown, 25 stam, and creates the buff. This is the attack by 5% for 5 seconds, and it stacks 5 times, so it's 25%. increases attack by 30% for 10 seconds upon reaching max count. So it actually gives you a little bit buff above that. So this is actually something decent for really anything, but PvE in particular, where you get 30%, attack is pretty nice. It creates an illusion of herself near a target. The illusion deals a little bit of damage upon being summoned and periodically infuses Scarlet Witch with energy to increase her attack. The effect is amplified upon reaching max stacks, untargetable while using. So, that's interesting. So you're well, that's a long untargetable ability. That animation's long, but that's is that whole thing untargetable? Because good Lord, in that whole time, like she's doing that, is that untargetable? Because that is way crazy long. I'm assuming it's mainly untargetable when she kind of dashes through them. We'll see how she goes like or behind them. Maybe that part's untargetable, but this part I would expect not to be. If it is, man, she's got some stuff in her kit there. So, and then the basic attack, there's nothing special to talk about here. But the dark hold, we'll just look at this. So it lasts for 15 seconds. It does, 58-ish percent, 60% of the damage. Increases Hex Energy class skill damage by 20% for 15 seconds. So that's really nice to kind of combo with that PvE situation, which, like I said earlier, you increase that, you get that cooldown back for the ultimate, you build up the ultimate quicker, and you get those Hex Energies abilities hitting a bit harder. I kind of like this, the knockback. So far I've liked it in the PvE concept. So Hex Energy again seems pretty decent. I did see some abilities there that maybe lean into PvP a little bit, but no, the abilities they said specifically for PvE during this was, let's find them. So the first one they said was Terror Consumption. Let's see, Shape of Terror. I don't see. Oh, that's this one right here. So, Shape of Terror, Terror Consumption. Which one is that? So they said that would be, I guess, this one. Yeah. So the attack. So okay, I'll buy that. So I think that is a decent ability there for PvE. That was one of them that they specifically said. Hex Lightning, which is in Hex Projection skill, which is this one here. Well, you've actually got that equipped. It's a pretty decent short cooldown, not crazy stamina. It's pretty high, but not, it's not in the 30s. It's close for high damage. So again, I like that one too. Hex Strike and Psychokinesis, which would be, that was Hex Smash, Hex Illusion. Which one's Hex Strike? Hex Strike. So they're saying this one, 18 for 30. You know what? All right. I'll buy that. I think I'll change that right now and try it out. So Hex Strike, we'll go with what they're saying there. Hex Strike Psychokinesis. We just did that one. Witch's Fear in Witch's Darkness. So let's see here. We've got Witch's Fear, Witch's Pursuit. Which one was Witch's Fear? Maybe it was Sphere and I heard Fear. Yeah. So Witch's Sphere, which I've already got, launches the energy. It's a short cooldown. Again, I'm buying that one as well. I like what they're saying there. And then Language of Demise, which was in Runic Absorption, which is Language of Demise. Oh, there we go. Or Language of Demise, Runic Absorption. Which one is that? Gift of Silence, Runic Absorption. So decrease attack, giant. And okay. Deals damage equal to of attack when cursed targets use attack skills. All right, so I guess this helps you survive a little bit. I don't know about this one though. I'm looking at this other one. It's a little bit more damage. Yeah, man. I don't know. I think it's fine. I'll try it out for them. I think they're decent. I'll go ahead and switch. So that's the PvE. Now that's a PvE. Let's check out PvP. All right. So the Chaos Magic. This is the stuff they're talking about for PvP. So let's look here. So on the left, 8.5 second cooldown, super good. Chaos Judgment, 11 stamina, short dot for 5 seconds. Applies damage 13% of attack per second, increases stam consumption. Okay, so this is the one that increases stam consumption. It seems pretty good. I didn't see this one on their list of ones to use as far as cast magic. Or the cast judgment. The one on the right, dimensional energy, cooldown 14 seconds, really 15, 22 stam, not bad. Focuses cast magic to create a huge ball of energy behind and around and launches. I think that one's gonna take too much time, more than likely, and probably gonna be hard to land. I don't think I would use dimensional energy, honestly. Now Chaos Storm, I didn't see this one on their list either. Applies damage relative. Okay, that's all stay the same. Drops the number of chaos. What's the animation on that? Let's watch that one more time. Oh, that could be hard to land. Depends. Yeah, I don't know if I'm using that one. Again, they didn't mention it. Hopefully this is, yeah. Okay, so this one they did say. So they said Chaos Sphere on the right is a PvP, and wow, 825 deals and launches the condense. Yeah. And turn them unstable. You know what? Yeah. All right. I like Chaos Sphere. They said Chaos Sphere in it, and I'm going to buy that. I think that's a decent ability for PvP for sure. We already went through all those. We did not go through these. So Language of Demise. Let's see here. I didn't write down one. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. I didn't catch with the one they said here. So let's just see what I think. Runic Absorption, damage, and absorbs their life to turn them unstable. So another unstable item. I like it. Cooldown's pretty long though. See, the one on the right focuses and makes the it's also another unstable. I think I might like the one on the right a little more. It's a shorter cooldown, less stam. The damage is a little less, but frankly, I'm not all that upset by it. I guess it depends what's tracking to. The one on the right, like that, I could see that being hard to land. It gives her a second and people are going to be moving. The one on the left looks like it might be a little easier to land if it goes like in a cone or something like that, or if it goes straight to a target. So for that reason, I'll stick with Runic Absorption for now. Gift of Silence. I remember them talking about this. Summons a giant hand that draws a spell disc, creates runes, and pulls enemies, inflicts silence and curse. I might like the Gifts of Silence one better, honestly. I think that could be pretty good. And again, if it definitely lands on somebody, I would like that. I think that could be pretty good. Getting Silence and Curses can be nasty. And then Runic Wither, they didn't mention this at all. Runic Alphabet around her and then releases energy to send Runic Alphabets. It looks like people need to be close for this. I don't know if I like that. Maybe in a Mega War type situation, I could see it, but besides that, all right, we went through the Witchcraft, went through the Hex, more Witchcraft, more Witch, and that's it. So there was really, okay, so is there only, so there's 1, 2, there's only 2, so you can only use 2 Chaos abilities there. So you're gonna have to pick, so some of those Hex and some of those Witchcraft, you're gonna have to do, I can't believe that. So Hex, Chaos, Witchcraft, Hex. Witchcraft. So yeah, there's only 2 Chaos abilities. So find the for PvP, I would definitely find the ones that you like in either Witchcraft or Hex if you're gonna lean into Chaos. You know, and again, we're gonna go back, we're gonna end this looking at the collections again, looking at the costumes, and give it one last whirl here. Where New Stark City is pure ultimate, Xanderth, Hex. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't touch Xanderth unless you're doing PvE. I mean, there is some PvP in there, but Chaos to me definitely seemed very PvP. Witchcraft, I'm probably not doing Megardi at all. Sakaar, I could see why this is PvP. I'd probably, depending how much defense pierce she can get from different sections, I might lean with the crit damage. Hydra, again, Hex, but defense pierce. Defense pierce isn't bad for PvE. It's definitely helpful in the raid. So you might, if raid PvE is really your main thing, honestly, you might want to consider Hydra. It's not bad. Again, Dark Domain's Witchcraft with defense pierce, kind of that in between, not bad. Savage Shadowlands is what it is. And then special costumes again, Hex Projection and Hex Energy. So the projection skills seems decent, so that could be pretty good. And they did say PvE for that. Rise of the East, again, Witchcraft. And then Eyes of Osiris, so they said Chaos Magic skill. Chaos Magic skill, which one was that? I want to double check that. We're going to go back to skills and look at that, and we'll end the video there. Chaos Magic. All right. So, is there anything that we really... I see we're worried about the right one there. That could be tough to land. It was Chaos Magic, right? I mean, the one on the right, the Chaos Sphere is what they said. So you get that doubled up plus where's the other one at? Oh, where's my other Chaos one? Hex, Chaos Magic, Hex. There. Oh, Runic Absorption. Man, that is tough. You know what? I don't know. You know, the Chaos, that gear set, I don't know if I'd want to go into Steampunk or Eyes of Osiris. Don't do that right yet. I would wait and see how this shakes out a bit. I think there's going to be play. And if you're using 3 Hex abilities in PvP versus, you know, just 2 Chaos, that's something to think about, honestly. Even if, because you're maxed out at 2 Chaos there, so... really, you might not want to lean into those Chaos gear sets for now. But anyway, it's early, so appreciate you guys making this far. Wanted to get this thing out for you guys to start looking into, start thinking about. It's early. Let's theory craft this bad boy. Let's talk about it. You know, look, I wouldn't bring anything much past 5 stars. If you go 6 stars, we just make sure it's decent, or, you know, keep it for nano later. But I'm probably gonna buy those purchases for the regional. I might just buy it and then, you know, figure it out and put it on her later. So that's all I got. Appreciate you guys stopping by. Hammer down like buttons, click notification bell, subscribe, all that sort of thing. And until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day.